All right, now we're going to talk about the fetal monitor. When you're in labor and delivery for clinical, you're generally assigned to a nurse who has 2 labor patients. But you'll pick one of those to write your care plan on, all that, but you'll just go with her to see both her patients so you get more experience. If we don't have a lot of labor patients, sometimes students are assigned to triage, and that's where people come in, they think they're in labor, they think their water broke, they haven't been feeling the baby move, they need to get checked out, but they may or may not be in labor. So putting the fetal monitor on is something that students can do a lot, and it's not difficult once you know how. So we're going to talk about the monitor itself, but we're also going to talk about how you place that monitor. And I need my fetus. Excuse me. Don't follow me. Okay, sorry about that. So this is my fetus. Well, it's not my fetus. Well, it is my fetus. I paid for it. The best place when we put the fetal monitor on, and most of our babies are head down. That's how they should be 90% of the time. If they're breech, and in our part of the world, if they're breech, it's going to be a C-section, most likely. So we don't talk a whole lot about laboring. We monitor them until they go back to the OR. So most of them are going to be head down in some fashion like this, with the back towards mom's front, or the back of the head. When we talk about what position the baby's in, if the baby's in this usual normal head down position, the presenting part, what's coming out first, is the occiput. And so that's kind of the crown of the head. Because these little fetuses, they should be well flexed and tucked in. And so the first part of the baby that's going to deliver is going to be the occiput. So we talk about this baby would be direct occiput anterior, or OA, because the occiput is facing mom's front. If the baby were in this position, which is not as common, but if it were in this position, we would call that occiput posterior, because the occiput is towards mom's back. So the best place when we're monitoring a baby, the best place to hear fetal heart tones is over the baby's back or shoulder. So we want to figure out what position the baby's in, and we do that with Leopold maneuvers. And so what you're going to do is you're going to feel down here, because we're going to go on the assumption that the baby's in a normal position. So you feel down here and see if you can feel the head. Now on the fetus, there is a fetus in here, and I'll tell you, with this fetus, the head isn't mobile, but on a real baby it is. And so you feel down and you would see if you found something that's kind of firm and a little bit mobile, because the head's on the neck. Sometimes it's hard to tell, really, sometimes, if you're feeling the buttocks up here or if you're feeling the head. They kind of feel similar to each other. But this isn't going to be mobile at all, but the head will. So that's going to be a clue for you. And then you want to feel the top of the uterus, and you're looking for something that's kind of round and firm but not mobile. So we're looking for the bottom, the baby's bottom. And then you feel down the sides, and if the baby's in a position like this, which is very common, this is right occiput anterior. The occiput's towards the front, but also a little bit to the right instead of being direct, so to the right. So right or left occiput anterior is very common. So we're going to feel, and one side is going to feel kind of smooth and firm, and the other side is going to feel lumpy and bumpy, and we call that small parts, because you've got their knees and their feet and their hands over on one side. So that's going to give you an indication of what position the baby's in. And then you're going to come to the head of the bed, and you're going to feel again the opposite direction to confirm your findings. So if the baby's in this position, the best place to put the fetal monitor then would be the right lower quadrant, mom's right lower quadrant. Now, don't worry, I want you to practice this, and you need to know how to do it, and you need to know what we're doing it for. That's one of those things they like to ask on NCLEX questions and stuff like that. But if you're not, and sometimes we have moms that are very slender. Sometimes we have moms that are a little bit fluffier. And there's a little bit more adipose between you and the baby, and it can be hard to tell. So don't be paralyzed by that. Try to see, ask the mom, is it okay if I try to feel what position your baby's in? Even if they've already got the monitor on. But most of the time, like I said, most of the time they're head down and they're either occiput anterior, right occiput anterior, or left occiput anterior, something like that. So most of the time we're going to find heart tones in the right or left lower quadrant. And you can also, mom's been, if she's been monitored before, they've been checking heart tones in the doctor's office, you can always say, where have they been finding the heartbeat? And a lot of times they'll it's always right here. Some babies move around more, it's a little bit more difficult. So don't worry about it. Do learn about it and attempt it, but don't worry about it. Put the monitor over here. Can't find it. Try coming over here, and you can just kind of search around. So it's not going to be a big issue. So monitor parts. For external monitoring, we always have two parts to the monitor, and that's our external. Let me put fetus in here. So the two parts of the monitor, one, we're going to listen to the baby's heartbeat, but the other one is for the contractions, because we want to know how close together the contractions are, how long they last. And we also are going to look at the baby's heartbeat. We'll talk about the monitor strips in a little bit. But we also want to compare the baby's heartbeat with the contractions and see if the baby's having any kind of reaction to the contractions. And we'll go into more detail on that. So we have an ultrasound. And this is pretty common to have to untangle all this stuff. It's almost like, I don't know, I guess it's like earbuds. They seem to tangle themselves up. So the first one we want to put on is the ultrasound for the baby's heartbeat. For one thing, that's the most important thing. If heart tones are within normal range, normal limits, then we can take our time doing the assessment and asking her questions and all of that. But if we put this monitor on and the baby's either tachycardic or bradycardic, that's going to change our plan of care, and we need to start doing interventions. We're not just going to stand around and talk to her for a long time. So this one's the ultrasound, and you put lubricant on it just like anytime you've ever seen an ultrasound or an echocardiogram or any of that. Put some lubricant on it, and then you're just going to look and see if you hear heartbeat. And I don't have this plugged in. We'll look at some strips and we'll look at the actual monitor. But you'll be able to hear the baby's heartbeat. If you don't, just come over here. Just kind of slowly move around until you find it. Now this one doesn't have all of its pieces either, because I went to the bargain fetal monitor store. So we'll see how we can do. It should have, and I'll show you, I think the other one's okay. So I'll just try, see if that works. And it'll probably pop off and hit me in the face, and then we'll have bloopers. Oh, and that's the wrong piece too.